Hi, everybody. This is Tony Grillo with Wisconsin Hugs, and I think you could probably see me in the mirror. But I am home. I finished driving, and I thought I'd show you a little bit of my house here. This is my bar area. I bought this house a couple years ago when I'll flip this over. And, I gotten my divorce about 11, 12 years ago, something like that. I can't remember dates anymore. I'm at that age now where years are irrelevant. But, so I bought this house, and it's, it was built in the 30s, and so you can see my bar here, and so I'm losing my train of thought here. And then it was remodeled in the 70s by the people that lived here their entire life, and then they wanted to. They were up there in their years, and they wanted to go be with their grandkids up in Green Bay. So they were very sadly they sold the house. They left this house, and the gentleman that his name was Mickey that owned this house, and he left a lot of stuff. First of all, he said, you mind if I leave, and I said, yeah, whatever, you leave whatever, I'll sort through it. And he left a lot of cool stuff in this house. And so, but anyways, it's going to be my my girlfriend is her and her family, they're they do Christmas, and everybody comes to her mom, their mom, but her mom lives in a senior citizen apartment, and I only live like a couple blocks away from her mom. And so me and the girlfriend were talking about it, and we're like, well, I just said, well, why don't you have the party here, and tell everybody to come here, and we'll bring your mom out here. And so that's the plan. So this is going to be my very first Christmas here at the house, and I'm really excited about it. And last night my girlfriend was hilarious. She's from Guatemala, and so she was listening to this song, or she was playing this song, in Spanish, and I don't understand any of the words. It was an older song written by a guy, I guess, that just passed away. And so I was like, well, what's the translation? And she's like, and then she started singing it. She was, like acting it out. It was, I guess, a very passionate song, and she's acting it out, and all this, and really, and she was translating it in English, and it was pretty hilarious, the translation. She's like, apparently the guy is singing about, like, he has this bottle of poison, and he hopes that she drinks it so that when she dies, she can feel the pain that he's going through in his heart. I'm like, are you serious? That is the real translation of the song? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, like, you Latin Americans really have some crazy ass music, but I don't know. I just thought I'm going to go back to doing the stuff that I do. I tell stories and things, and I know a lot of you came on the channel. I'm not going to do a whole lot of the KR stuff because it's not my niche. I'm not true crime niche at all, but I thought maybe I'd share a true crime story with you just for a sec, because it involved a person that I knew, and it's kind of a crazy story. But anyways, when I was I'm an old man, okay, people. I'm really an old man, so I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but I'm up there, and I've had a pretty fun life, and so when I started up this YouTube channel, I thought, well, maybe I can be relevant, maybe I can, I can share some things with all of you, that you might enjoy, because I know this is kind of a young crowd here and everything. But I thought maybe there is an old man can be relevant. That's all we want, right? Everybody wants to be relevant, right? Everybody wants to contribute in society. And so I thought I'd share that there was a story, but there was a guy when I was a young kid and I was going to college. I worked at Waste Management in Minnesota at Ramsey. It was a plant. It was like a landfill. Okay, and when I first got hired on, I worked there and I paid my college education by working there, because college back in those days didn't cost like it does now. I mean, you could actually work an entire summer and then pay for your whole school during the year. I don't know why school's so expensive now. It's ridiculous. I don't know if it's because those professors are getting huge paychecks. I don't know why these universities are like milking all you guys for everything they can get. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, and so, but school was not expensive. It cost me back in that day. It cost me like $3,800 a year, and that included food and room and board and all my books. Okay, and I know you guys are probably like, what? But that's what it cost back in my day. And so, but anyways, I worked for Waste Management. My job was I'd walk up and down the landfill roads and I'd pick paper. The paper that when the garbage guys. And I remember some of the guys thought it was funny that they would take like nudie magazines and they'd, rip up pages of naked girls and they'd throw them, out there on the road. And then I'd have to go walk and pick up, the paper and put them in the garbage bags. And then another guy would come with a pickup truck and he'd grab all the bags. And my job was just to keep the fence line clean. That's all it was. Walk up and down. But it was good exercise, because I was also a college hockey player. And so I loved that job because it kept me active, kept me in shape, and kept me strong. And so I did that. And then they got a tire shredder. And so I was on this tire shredding crew. And I think one of the things, you people, especially when you're young, is make sure that you're a joy to work with, especially if you need a job to pay for college. And because they always kept my job open. I'd go there in the summer, and then I'd go to school, and then they always welcomed me back. They always kept that job open for me when I come back. And then so every summer I would come back and I worked there. And then like if I needed to work during like Christmas, because we'd have 4 weeks off during whatever the midterms, they would say, yeah, come work with us. Come, all the guys want to see you. They're excited to see you. And I'll tell you one story, because I wasn't always a saint. This old, you may think, oh, he's such a cute old man, but I wasn't always. I was kind of a crazy ass young kid back in the day. But I remember one time I was in Mankato, Minnesota. And we were on a job site. We were cleaning up a waste tire dump that had like 2 million tires that were dumped. And we had our shredders in there and we were cleaning up. And we had two crews, a day crew and a night crew. And I was on the day crew. They put me on the day crew. And so anyways, we had finished our shift. And me and the guys thought it'd be funny if they took me to my very first strip bar. And so I'd never been to one before, and I was just a young kid. And back in those days, it was what? I wasn't even 21 because the drinking age went to 21, but I was like 18 or 19 and the strip bar let me in anyways. And they gave me drinks. And so, I remember, seeing these girls dancing. It was a fun time, and the guys were having a blast. And anyways, this one girl, she comes up. She was like the same age as me, beautiful girl, and she starts talking to me and everything. And she's like, I'm gonna be done here in a sec. I'd like to get a burger with you. And the guy, and I'm like, well, I'm here with my crew, And she says, that's okay, and she's like, I don't mind. And so I said to the crew, I said, hey, she wants to go get a burger, and they're like, yeah, okay, we gotta, we gotta get back. So we hopped into the truck, the work truck. We brought the work truck out there. We hopped into the work truck, me, the guys, and this girl, this lovely, beautiful young girl, and we were heading back to the hotel because the guys had to get to sleep, and they were going to let me have the truck so I could, have a little date with this beautiful girl, and losing my train of thought here. Oh yeah. So anyways, I said to the girl, I said, what would really be funny is if, would you mind if we drove by the second crew shift and, you just pop your head out the window of the work truck and wave hi to the guys that are working second shift. And then, because I thought that would just be hilarious, because then those guys on second shift are going to be like, what the heck are they doing? What's going on? They're going to have, so we drive out to, she's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. That sounds like fun. And so we drove out to the work site, and, she jumps out of the window. We stop by the guys in the crew. They're all, they're you have the loader, you have the tire shredder. They're throwing tires onto the machine, and they're not thinking nothing, and then all of a sudden she, rolls down the window, pops out, and then she decides to flash them. I didn't ask her. She just did it. And the guys were like. And then we just took off. We didn't even hang around. We just took off. And I thought, yeah, that's going to give those guys something to talk about when I go back to college. That they're going to be talking about that the entire while I'm gone. That's all they're going to be talking about. Those guys about that whole incident. And so that's kind of like some of the things I've done. But I brought that story up because. When I was at Waste Management, there was a guy there, and he was like my boss, and really nice guy, super nice guy. He worked with the Wisconsin DNR, or no, not Wisconsin, Minnesota Pollution Control Agency. He was with them, and then he got recruited by Waste Management, and then he formed a new company. He was with a couple other guys, and they called themselves Midwest Tire Services. And then, of course, when I finished college, they recruited me to join them. I was actually with Waste Management, and then they're like, yeah, come on, Tony, come join us. We want you to be there with us. And so I did. I came on board with them, and I was with them for a while. And I was with them for a long time. I worked in I don't know how many different states. I was like, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head, 4 or 5 different states. And I've got a million stories about all of that. I did everything from the grunt work, all the way up to manager, everything, sales. I did it all, and had a blast. And I've got so many stories about all of that, But anyways, I got a call from one of my coworkers, a guy I had worked with, I hadn't talked to in years, and somehow or another he found me, got my, I think he found me on Facebook or something, and then he contacted me, and he goes, hey Tony, how you doing? What's up? And we're talking back and forth. He goes, hey, I got something to tell you. You remember our boss? And I go, yeah. He goes, well, here, there's a newspaper headline. I want you to read it, And I'm like, oh, okay, because he's like, have you heard about, such and such? I'm not going to give his name, but you could easily find it if you wanted to Google it, and maybe I'll say where he was from, what he was doing. But anyways, he had started up a company in Babbitt, Minnesota, okay, and back in those days, and especially up north in the Iron Range, there are not a whole lot of jobs up there, and so Minnesota had a program where they were trying to get companies to start, go up to the Iron Range, and so that people could get jobs, and they were offering huge tax incentives for these companies to relocate and go up to like Hibbing, Minnesota, and Chisholm, and some of these other places. And I know these places like because my dad is from Hibbing, Minnesota, and he grew up with Bob Dylan, and that's another story altogether because my dad knew Bob Dylan and they were buddies. But anyways, losing my train of thought. Okay, so anyways, I'm talking about this guy, and so he started up his company, and he also became the hockey coach for the girls' hockey team. Okay. For the high school team. Well, the first coach, the girls program, they just started this high school girls hockey program. And then the coach, like, he drowned on a fishing thing, and so they needed a new coach. And so Don came in on his second year, on the second year of the program. Don, I just said his name. Anyways, he comes on board and he starts coaching, okay, this team, this girls hockey team. And so anyways, he, and Don, he was a good guy. I loved him. I had nothing but respect for him. He was super nice to me. He helped me pay for my college education. And so I have a lot of love for this guy, I always kept, but anyways, apparently I read the headlines in the paper because it was paper, and it said, Babbitt owner gets busted by FBI, child predator sting. And I'm like, what? So I'm reading this story, and apparently, he's all the way up in Babbitt, Minnesota. Apparently he was, he was a really smart guy. And so, it was kind of like one of those Chris Hansen, the TCAP stuff, and he goes and he struck up a conversation. He thought he was talking to a 14-year-old girl or something. He's like the high school coach of the girls hockey team, and, struck up a conversation, and it was, from what the FBI said, because the FBI was interviewed in this story, and they said this conversation was so alarming and so threatening, and that we felt it was necessary for us to catch this guy and lock him up. That's how bad the conversations were. This guy was married. He had children. He was the owner of a company, and he had employees under him, and he had all these contracts with the area businesses, and he was kind of a hero because he was creating jobs in a place that needed jobs desperately. People needed jobs desperately. He was a hero, and he was coach of the girls team. And so anyways, and then he hopped into his car and he drove all the way from Babbitt, and to, Babbitt's way up north in Minnesota. It's way up north. Minnesota's a huge state. I don't know if any of you know how big Minnesota is. It really is big. It could take you like 12 hours to drive from north to south Minnesota. That's how big it is. And so he was all the way up in northern Minnesota. So he takes off and he drives right through Milwaukee, where I live, and he heads to Ohio. And he was supposed to meet the girl at a mall, and he gets there, and the FBI is waiting for him, and they just slapped the cuffs on him right away. They didn't even mess around. So I guess that's all I got for all of you. Hey, I really enjoyed walking in on that chat, listening to that chat yesterday with all you. There's like 10 of you for the KR thing. 10 of you different channels that all got together, and you were all talking about the case, and you were trying to figure out, like, since we now know that the car never went into the water that night, and you guys are all trying to figure out, well, where did the car go? And there were some interesting theories there, and I'm not going to say anything because I'll probably get it wrong, and then all of you will come and correct me. So I'm just go on those channels, the people that actually do it right. Go on their channels, the young kids with all the energy and are doing a great thing. You're actually doing better things than I was doing when I was your age, okay? And so keep it up, keep up the great work, and so. And one of the things I found interesting was the airbags. I mean, the fact that you guys were discussing about, because, if you're driving a car into the lake and it hits the lake hard, those airbags should have been deployed, and they weren't. And so that was really interesting, guys. In fact, it was so interesting. My girlfriend, she really hasn't had any interest in this case at all, and she thinks I'm crazy for doing all the stuff that I'm doing on YouTube. But she was listening in on your guys' conversation, although she did say she didn't like some of your language. She thought you guys were swearing too much. But other than that, she really enjoyed your conversation about that, and she got interested in it. So keep up the good work. Keep it up. And another thing I was going to share with all you, I have a small channel, and I just started it this year. I just decided I wanted to do this. I thought, like you said, I wanted to be relevant. Maybe I thought I had something to say, something to share with all of you. And, so if you ever look at my first few videos, there's maybe 2 likes, and that's me and that's my tablet. So those 2 likes, that's it, and maybe I got 10 views, but that's probably how it all worked for all of you guys when you started your channels. The same thing. I don't know, I'm sure you didn't just burst with, 20,000 people as subscribers or whatever. It didn't happen overnight. You didn't have Johnny Depp there, helping you out. And that kid's awesome, by the way. That pirate Kraken kid, I did subscribe to his channel. I hope all of you subscribe. It's just a wonderful story there about what Depp did for that kid. But I got my very first hater comment, and I thought that was actually kind of funny. He said, "How does an idiot become a fireman?" And I said, well, the same way that an idiot YouTube commenter would get there. And, because I really didn't know how to respond to that. But then I thought, I probably need to maybe go the high route. I don't know how you guys, you big channel people, how you handle that stuff. But I thought, I need to say something a little more about this. So I actually, went back and I made another comment. And guys, don't go on that comment. You can see that comment. It's there. Don't go on there, and you don't need to defend me. Nobody needs to defend me. I can pretty well defend myself. I've been around the block a few times. I've handled, smart asses, and I'm a smart ass myself. So there's nothing wrong with that. But I said, I can't remember exactly what I wrote on there, but I said, I said something about what possessed you to come onto my channel and call me an idiot. I'm like, are you so miserable? That's right. I said, are you so miserable that you have to slam other people? It makes you happy to slam other people. I mean, that's a really sad existence. And it is. It's a really sad existence. I said, I actually feel really bad for you. And I did. I actually felt bad for this guy. That's how he derives his joy. I'm assuming it's a he. He derives his joy by slamming other people. And I'm like, if you need to talk to somebody, let me know, and then I said Wisconsin hugs, and that's all. I don't know. Maybe you guys just ignore people. I don't know, but I will tell you one thing before I end this video, because God, it's getting long. It's already 24 minutes. There was one channel I just thought was hilarious. There's a lady. She sits on a chair, and she does a pretty good job. She's in love with KR, and that's all she talks about. And so I'm not going to name her, but you guys maybe know who she is. She actually does a good job. She on her channel. She does. She's fun to listen to, but I was watching her one time, and all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, wait a minute, guys. I got to get up and fix the light." And so she gets up off her chair, and her butt is right in the screen, and I'm like, did she just give us a butt shot on her video? I just okay, I gotta this. I was like, I will never give you a butt shot on my channel. I just thought that was hilarious. And I remember I actually made a comment like on another video she did. She's like, "Oh, I appreciate, I did, whatever." She was talking about like, I don't know, another video she had done. And I couldn't help it. I could not. I made a comment. I go, well, at least you didn't do a butt shot in this video. I appreciate that. And normally I try not to be negative on my comments, but that was about as negative as I could be. I was actually trying to be a little bit of a smart ass. But all right, everybody, I'm out of here. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and take care.